taking this opportunity to stream everything we're talking about. Um,
Oh, come on.
so it's it's good talk. It's like a podcast. So my thing is when I cut my finger, I didn't cut it. I didn't cut across the finger. The way I look at it is like you could either cut with the grain or against the grain. So when I cut mine, I didn't cut. I didn't cut against the grain. I cut with the grain, so to speak, and cut through the middle of my finger and kind of off to the side. So I cut part of most of the meat was gone. Like basically, I feel like the knife hit the bone and bounced off the bone and went the other way with it. And if I had had just a little bit more pressure, I'd have cut the meat completely off. But it was just hanging. So that was lucky. I guess I didn't have to go look for it. Because when I tell you I jumped 8 feet in the air to the ground and then slid on my knees immediately, screaming the word fuck so loud and with such I said it so loud and with such a tone that the neighbor who was on her porch, you know how far the neighbor is, she made it from her porch to the fence screaming, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" That's the noise I made. I don't think I've ever made, and I, it happened so fast. I was on our front porch, and I went from cutting bamboo. The next thing I remember, I was standing up off the ground, holding my thumb, screaming, "I cut my finger off! I cut my finger off!" So. And you've been on my front porch. It's about 6 feet off the ground, right? Well, not only did I jump off the porch, down those steps, I jumped up into the air and then off the porch. Because I didn't know what else to do. Like, it happened so fast and it hurt so much. I have to go somewhere. I have to run away. And it was. So, anyway, I say that. And then I seen the pictures of his finger, and the way he describes it, she threw a vodka bottle, and it hit his finger, and that's what happened when it hit his finger. Because they were talking about him, um, walking around drawing blood paintings with his fucking finger and writing shit on the wall. Okay, he had to be fucked up to be able to do that because his finger was fucking gone. The tip was gone. He had to be spurting blood when that happened. But then they show pictures, like Amber. The only two pictures she took that night was of his writings on the mirror and shit. And apparently it wasn't all blood. There was some pain in there too. But anyway, you got to think. You got to imagine. As soon as that injury happened, that your blood pressure goes up. So that means that every time your heart pumps, it's spurting out of that hole that is cut in your finger now. There had to be blood everywhere. That's another thing that kills me about this trial. She has all these things she says he does and that he has done to, number one, to her. Like, she gives this graphic, in detail fight they had where he beat the shit out of her. Or at least that's what she made it sound like. And my first question was, okay, where's the receipts? Where's the pictures? Because you got pictures. The night he cut his finger off is this, I think, is the same night that he supposedly beat her in the face, held her across the bar, and raped her with a bottle. Like, all of this shit supposedly happened that same night. She took fucking pictures of the mirror and the wall where he wrote on. Now, you tell me, would that be the only thing you took pictures of if somebody had just got through beating your ass? No. I would want that motherfucker to go to jail. I would take pictures of my face. I would take pictures of the blood everywhere. And I'd go, this motherfucker tried to hit me with a bottle and cut his own damn finger off. I don't care. But, like, her story just doesn't make sense. Why? And then when she says she got, he did the thing with the bottle to her, why didn't you go get a rape kit done? That's what, you know, or at least go get seen by the doctor. Go to the ER. Let them check you out and be like, oh, yeah, this happened. Because they're going to take pictures. Like, none of her shit makes sense. And then all of these people, the Me Too people, say, you know, you should always believe a woman. If a woman says she's being abused, you should 100% believe that woman. But then you have this woman who's doing it solely for the money. Like, you don't sue somebody for $100 million fucking dollars if you got your ass whooped. Because you know what the first thing I'm going to be afraid of? That motherfucker's going to come back and beat my ass and get this $100 million back. But she's not scared of him. I mean, you could tell she ain't scared of him. You can tell that. Just tell by looking at her. None of this shit actually. And so it's a mockery of real victims. And that's another thing. That's, to me, it's kind of telling when she's like, I never wanted to be labeled a victim. Never said I was a victim. I don't want to be labeled as a victim. But that characterizes what you went through. You were a victim of domestic abuse. I don't know how any other way to phrase it. So, and it's I'm all up in the meta of this whole thing because it has become the meta of YouTube. You know Asmongold, right? I know you know that name.
Yeah, he keeps. Well, I don't know who he is, but he keeps popping up because he's watching the trial.
Right, he's doing the. From what I understand, he got really big doing what is that game, Dark Souls or whatever, like those type games, like
Elden Ring.
Well, like Elden Ring, but here the ever since the
same company,
ever since this trial started, instead of playing the game, you know, and doing what he usually does, he's fucking putting out videos every 3 or 4 hours. It's him live streaming the trial, and then he'll like stop it at a certain point, upload that video, but he's still streaming at the same time. So, and the trial is still going on. So it's like, I mean, these people are making bank off of this, and it's really not. I mean,
it's not really something to make money off of if you think about it.
I mean, if it's true, if the things that she says are true, this is not something that you want to be aired out in public. But that's why I don't think it is true. It's not her doing it. It's Johnny Depp doing it because Depp is the victim of the abuse in this situation. She didn't. I'm not gonna say that she could physically abuse him. I mean, she did hit him, but I'm not gonna get into semantics here about a man and a woman and biology. We're not gonna get into that. That's a whole different topic. But when the power that a woman has is psychological. They have this thing, they can make you feel guilty about something that they did. That's what she did. You married the man because he has a lot of money. Because the whole time y'all were together, you were obviously miserable, and you made him miserable. But you kept him around because it's fucking Johnny Depp. You called him a fat old man, but then you stayed with him because of the money. That's
did
obvious.
She call him that?
Yeah, that came out too. Like, she called him a fat old man a couple of times, and there's audio. Like, the audio is fucking ridiculous. But I mean, her weak point is that she doesn't realize that Domestic abuse doesn't have to necessarily be physical. It can be emotional. It can be mental. You don't necessarily. It can be financial, which is what she's doing now. She's going after him for his money again and hurting him again, but she's doing it in public. But she didn't want it to be televised. That's the crazy part, because she knows that she's fucking with him. She don't want everybody to see that, and she doesn't want everybody to see her sit up there and lie and do what she's doing. I've been watching these. There's a channel called Behavioral Arts, and he's been doing body language analysis, and I feel like that's what I should have went into. I should have been a lawyer and a body language person, because everything he says in his videos, it's like a couple of days after you watch that part of the trial or whatever. But what he's saying, I said it while I was watching it. Like, you can see her eyes fluttering. You can see her kind of smirk during parts where you shouldn't really smirk. And just a whole bunch of other shit. But it's crazy that, you could point those things out. And I just hope that the jury sees everything that because, the jury's not allowed to do any sort of research. Like, they can't go home and watch the YouTube videos or whatever. They're not allowed to. They have to be, is bereft the term? I don't think bereft is the term I'm looking for, but they have to, before they can be selected as a juror, think about this. They have to not know who Johnny Depp is. They have to not know who Amber Heard is. Which, that's not a problem. I didn't know who the bitch was either, but can you imagine somebody in America not knowing who the Pirates of the Caribbean? Yeah, like, who hasn't seen Pirates of the Caribbean? Who hasn't seen Edward Scissorhands? And from what they're saying, the people that are going and watching the trial in court, and then they come back out and they make their YouTube videos, they get to talk about what the jurors look like. They can't say certain things, but they're like, oh, most of them are Asian males in their mid to late 30s, early 40s. There's some females in there, but most of them are Asian. And there's a couple white jurors, and that's because black people ain't got time for all this white people shit. Because the first thing, and I'm gonna say this too, because I agree. First thing they're gonna say is, why are you rich uppity white folks in here arguing about some stupid shit? Why can't y'all do this? Y'all got all this damn money. Y'all wasting everybody's time. Because it really is a fucking waste of time. I mean...
Well, it kind of ruined his career, though.
In a way.
Because, like, he got dropped from a lot of movies. I don't know that he's been in a movie since.
So that was...
The op-ed came out.
Here's a funny thing about that. Because she countered... This is another thing. It's like, this is a spoiled, bratty bitch. We knew people like this growing up. She countersued him. She has a counterclaim. He sued her for $50 million for damages. She turned right around and said, "Oh yeah, bitch, you gonna sue me? Fine, I'm gonna sue you right back for $100 million."
She's like double or nothing.
How fucking petty is that? How petty is that? Petty ass white folk. And all of this stems from the Me Too movement, and how Amber's like, I'm the pioneer of this Me Too movement because I was beaten up by the most famous man of all. And it's like, bitch, no you weren't. That's what, like, Johnny's like, bitch, no you weren't. But then you went and ruined my fucking life. Because you wanted all this. You're a narcissist. You're a spoiled bitch. And you won't leave me alone. It's like, I tried to leave you. Tried to divorce you. I gave you money. That's the crazy part. He gave her money to go away. And she still won't leave him alone. It's like, this bitch fucked him up so bad. He went, here's $7 million. Now fuck off. And she went, that ain't enough. I need more. I think he gave her like 3 houses, and the bitch is still like, I can make your life miserable, and then she did. Some fucked up shit, man. And I hope there is a low probability that anybody wins this case, right? But you could probably agree that Johnny comes out way better in the end, and I think I think he gets his reputation back because the court of public opinion is every time you see that stupid fucking YouTube poll, are you Team Johnny or Team Amber? And I always click Team Johnny, and it's 98% of votes to 2 votes. And we're not talking like 100 votes. We're talking 200, 300,000. And it's 98% are Team Johnny, right? So, I mean, he's won the case as far as public's concerned. So, but I don't think he's going to win, on a legal standpoint. But I don't think it matters because now everybody has seen Amber for who she really is. Now her career is ruined. What I'm worried about is sort of a resurgence of the Me Too rap. If she doesn't win, right? And all these feminists and shit come back and say, how dare you not believe a woman? Hashtag Me Too again. Me Too too. And it's not warranted. Like it's not a valid Me Too sort of thing, right? Like it. And you could argue that the Me Too movement really wasn't valid anyway. Like, you shouldn't be women anyway. No matter if you're in Hollywood or you work at McDonald's, you shouldn't be a woman anyway. You know,
Wait,
well, because that was what the whole Me Too movement was like. Men don't treat us fair. Women don't get paid the same wages as a man. Men don't. Men beat women. Women are more likely to be beaten or held down in a relationship, that sort of thing. And it's like, no, I'm just as strong as you are. Hashtag Me Too. And I may be misremembering all this shit. I don't, because I didn't really pay attention to it because it doesn't affect me. Because I don't do those things these women say men do. I do believe that women should get paid. If a woman goes to school and she gets an English degree, just like you did, don't you think it's fair that she get paid just as much as you would, no matter what her gender is? Right? That makes sense, right? Like if she has a bachelor's, I don't know what your bachelor's is in, but or like a bachelor's in applied computer science. That's my degree. And let's say a woman has the exact same degree. She graduated the same time. She was part of my graduating class, right? We go get a job at the same place. I end up making more. And come to find out it's because, well, he's a man. He doesn't do anything different. You still both do the same exact job. It's just you got a penis and you don't. That's fucked up. Like, I don't believe in that. I do believe that they need to shut their fucking mouths about men who do like bricklaying, men who do physically draining jobs, earning more than a woman who may be the manager telling people what to do. I mean, shut the fuck up. They make more money than you because they're doing the work. They're doing the heavy lifting. I'm not saying you couldn't. I'm saying you're not. 99% of people who lay bricks are fucking men. You don't see a lot of women garbage men, do you? Matter of fact, I've never heard the word garbage woman ever. You hear garbage man's coming. It's usually a man, right? So, anyway, My opinion doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't. Saying this whole thing has been kind of fucked up, and you mentioned the whole Will Smith thing, and it's like, look what happened. He slapped him, and 2 days later it went away. Nobody's talking about it. They're fixing to. That's fitting to come back full force. Believe. That's the next big thing. Is his divorce. Quote me on that one. I'm on the record. I'm on the record. The whole Chris Rock shit's gonna come back. It's gonna bite him in the ass, and then they're gonna put that fucking divorce, that circus of a divorce, on just. That woman was wrong for that shit. You all know it. But Will Smith was wrong for slapping that man on the biggest stage in worldwide. Everybody was watching. Yeah, I mean, he knew that. What point was he trying to prove? Don't talk about my woman. You could have made a Twitter post and made Chris Rock out to be this evil person, but you went up there and physically assaulted the man who made a joke about a stupid joke because it wasn't funny. You know, when I first saw that clip, Jeremy, I thought it was staged. I was like, what is this from? What are they doing? And I didn't know until a week later what actually happened. And then I was like, oh shit. So it was for real. I just thought it was a joke. I thought somebody made a stupid TikTok. Didn't make sense to me.
All I found out about it because they were talking about it at work.
Y'all have time to talk about stuff like that at work?
We did a lunch.
Do y'all still have smoke rooms?
No. There's a bench outside you can go to that has an awning over it. That's about it.
I worked there. Wasn't that long ago. Really, in the grand scheme of it all, we still had a fucking smoke room in the break room. Have to go outside. Crazy to look back and think that was in 2008. And,
Something like that, yeah.
you know, they were trying to ban smoking indoors when me and you were kids. Like, that was I think the big deal was, they took all the advertisements off TV and out of magazines. No, maybe it wasn't magazines. It was something. But you can't advertise cigarettes on TV anymore because of kids. Which I'm like, it took y'all until 1990 something to figure that out. How long have cartoons been around? Hell, the cartoons used to smoke on the fucking show. Fucking Fred Flintstone talking about buy some damn Camel.
Oh, yeah. I think he was a Marlboro. They used to advertise Marlboro on there.
Yep, I've seen one of them.
What about the people that used to smoke while putting gas in the car?
I still do that because it's not gonna happen.
That's so stupid.
It takes a lot more than the lit end of my cigarette. Okay, first of all, you've got to be a complete fucking idiot to light your car on fire while you're pumping gas and smoking. I've got more sense than to stick a fucking cigarette right next to the vapors. I'm not, but, and how many times have you actually ever heard of that happening? Where it's like, oh, somebody was smoking and they lit the whole place on.
I just assumed people didn't do it anymore. I thought they were smarter than that now.
But what I hear about most people doing is they get out of their car with their phone and they reach down to take the pump out and they spark because of the static electricity and boom. I mean, now you've got a problem. But never have I seen a blooper or whatever. This man was smoking a cigarette and all of a sudden the Exxon was on fire. I've never done it. And I smoke all the time. But here's the thing. And okay, let me ask you a question.
Go on.
well, I had to think about how I'm gonna word this. Let me ask you a question. When when I
You have to think about it. Maybe not do.
no listen okay, so let's say I'm pumping gas and I put my cigarette next to it and it lights on fire. Okay, what do you think happens next? I mean, there's fire, of course, but what do you think the concern is?
Well, I mean,
Because I'm thinking to blow your
getting the
mind.
fuck away.
No. Like, what
I
do
know there's
you
a kill switch.
what do
Not a
you
kill switch.
what do you think actually happens? Because I'm gonna tell you what actually happens. It a not smoking. A different scenario happened to me because I'm an idiot, but so we are predisposed to think that if I light, if my gas tank lights on fire, the car's gonna explode because it's gonna go through the fuel tank and then it's gonna go through the engine and then it's gonna be such a huge, the fire's gonna light so quick and everything's just gonna go poof. And
Oh, you're talking about like movies
well, yeah, but that's where you've seen
and
it,
video games. Video games do that too.
right? So your first instinct. That's why people don't do it because that could happen, right? Because I'm gonna tell you something, and this is absolutely true. Danielle doesn't like it when I do it because that's exactly what she thinks is gonna happen. She thinks I'm gonna blow the car up. And this happened one time. I'm not proud of it, but I was putting gas in a truck that we used to have, and I couldn't see, and I didn't have a flashlight. So what did I do?
Oh no.
I took my lighter, and I had my lighter right by where I was putting gas in the tank. And I knew better. I knew better, but I needed to see if the gas was going in the tank because I couldn't see. So I got this. I got it kind of close, and I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, the gas is going in. Then I got too close, and the vapors caught. Poof. Okay, now we have a fire, right? So here's what happened. I threw the gas can into the air because because of reflexes, right? You want to get the fire away from you. So my first reflex was to throw the gas can. So
I would have thrown it like meters behind.
I threw it straight.
Maybe not meters.
I threw it sort of at an arc right above me, and then it landed like 5 feet away from me, still on fire. It's been on fire the whole time as it arcs. It was like a pretty little arc through the air, and it landed, miraculously landed on its bottom, stood straight up, but it was on fire. There was fire blowing out the fucking tube or whatever of the gas can, and the
greatest TikTok of all time.
where the where the gas goes in, the gas goes into the truck at. There's fire billowing out of the truck. And, Danielle's with me. She let me do this. I might add. So, she starts screaming, "Run! It's going to explode. We're going to die!" And takes off running. Doesn't come get me. She's gone. Okay, and she's screaming, "Oh no, it's gonna blow." So I'm already fight or flight at this moment. It didn't help that she's screaming, "It's gonna explode." I didn't know what she was talking about. I thought she meant the gas can was gonna explode. So I took my white ass and ran off too, and called the fire department and said, I lit the gas can on fire. I was at work in the parking lot, so they had to come out there and put out the fire. Which all that really happened was, instead of blowing the fire out like I should have done, because that's all you have to do, you just blow the fire that's at the end of the nozzle. You don't throw it, you just blow it out and everything's fine. And I should have blown it, where you put the gas in the car, just blew that out, everything would have been fine. and I wouldn't have left a burn mark that is still there to this day in the parking lot because we just watched the gas can burn to nothing. So the rest of the gas that was in there, of course, caught on fire eventually. But the car never blew up. As a matter of fact, it burned that whole place where the gas goes in. And then once it burned that off, like the plastic and stuff was finally burnt out, it went out on its own. So it never traveled down into the fuel tank and the car didn't explode. Um, I'm just an idiot, but that that's what people think of. So when you say, "Oh, you shouldn't smoke while you put gas in the car," that's crazy. It's really not. And as long as you remain calm and don't do what I did and just sort of throw things left and right, you can just blow the fire out. Because gas burns, like the vapors and everything are the most flammable, but once it only burns from the top. How do I put this? It doesn't. If I have gas in a cup and I light the cup on fire, all of that gas in the cup doesn't immediately light because that would cause an explosion, right? So it burns from the top, and as it's burning off, it goes down and down and down and down until it's all, all the gas is gone. And to put it out, all you got to do is just give it a swift, you just, I guess water would help, but that kind of spreads it. That's what you shouldn't do.
Right.
You just sort of blow it out and it's done. I didn't think about it at that moment. At that moment, I'm like, I'm on fire. I thought I've got to get this gas can away from me. It could have been a lot worse. I could have thrown it and then the gas spilled out onto me that was on fire, and now I'm on fire. Luckily, that didn't happen.
Yeah, the way you talked about throwing it, I was like,
Yeah, it was an arc. It was an arc of fire, and I think I threw it at Danielle. She just so happened to be kind of standing behind me, but hell, I wasn't looking. I was just like, "Holy shit!" It all felt like it happened instantly. Like that, I was 50 feet away from the truck before I knew it. It was absolutely stupid. I don't know what point I was trying to make. Oh, oh, if you ever light something on fire, as far as gas is concerned, just stay calm. Don't don't react the way I did, because it could have been a lot worse. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. It takes a little bit more than the red end of my cigarette to light gas. Because, like you said, I've smoked for 18 years now. I've put gas in the car since I was 16, and knock on wood, it hasn't happened yet. We were talking about the Amber Heard stuff. I wanted to know. I was curious to know what you knew about it.
not a whole lot. I mean, I've watched bits and pieces, and like I've seen like the bit where her lawyer was like, he asked a question, then immediately objected to his own question. Everyone's seen that. I saw some video the other day of she mentioned somebody, and someone was like, "This is where she messed up," and I was like, "Why did she mess up there?" I think was it Kate Moss? Was that the name? That
Oh yeah. So the whole thing about the stairs, like everybody's
wait,
keeps, yeah.
well, a comment explained it. They were like, well, it was they had excluded it because it was irrelevant. As soon as she mentioned it, it became relevant.
Yeah. As soon as she mentioned the name Kate Moss, everybody's like, "Oh, now it can come into evidence. Like now she can
And
come testify."
I was gonna say because apparently it wasn't going to look good on her.
Oh, because apparently, um, that was like the best person as far as Kate Moss is concerned. Johnny Depp was like the best man she's ever been with, and he always treated her with the utmost respect. Never laid a hand on her. Was nice. I think even the divorce was just this nice little okay. Well, no, we shouldn't be married. Sort of. They go your separate ways. Sort of. So now, interestingly enough, though, that gave them a window to call Kate Moss as a witness because Amber sort of described this situation where they're at the top of these stairs and she was insinuating that apparently Johnny Depp had done something similar to Kate Moss and that's why Kate Moss's name came up. But as soon as she did that, you're right, they had um not allowed that to come into evidence as far as like his past relationships or whatever. And they can't mention anything about her past relationships either. Like they can't call because apparently she beat up on her ex-wife, and her ex-wife got a restraining order on her, but they can't bring it up in court because it's not relevant to the defamation of Johnny Depp. But if she's going to attack his character and claim that he's an abusive person, and then bring Kate Moss up now, and supposedly it's going to happen either tomorrow or Thursday. Kate Moss is actually supposed to come testify to whatever the hell the stairs thing is. Like, I don't know if they're actually going to do it, but it's a rumor that she could be called to the stand, which would be interesting. I haven't seen Kate Moss.
I don't really know anything about her.
She was in a bunch of
Like,
movies in the '90s that you probably never saw. I never saw.
I mean, the name is familiar because I'm sure her name got tossed around a lot, but
She's not. That's not. Kate Moss isn't the woman that the running joke on Family Guys where she could like. Do you remember the episode where they open the window and I want to say it was Kate Moss that she's like, oh, a slight breeze, and then she blows out of the window like a piece of paper.
oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't think it was her.
It was Kate something. That's where I remember that name. Is Family Guy. The references Family Guy. Hell, Family Guy references everything. That's hard. You know what made me mad? Because right before all this crap started, we had the whole. Oh, what was it? Like a lot of people were getting in trouble for racist shit they had done in their past. Like it shit they did 20 years ago was being brought up, and then everybody was cancel culture. That's what it was. Everybody was getting canceled. Um, the early Kyler from Squidbillies. Apparently, he did some racist shit way back in the day, and it came to bite him in the ass, so they canceled him. So there's not going to be any more Squidbillies, and I'm so upset about it. Like, and his shit wasn't even that bad, from what I hear. Like he might have said the N word once when he was like 13 or something. Like I don't know. I'll have to look into it. I didn't really dive deep into it. I just heard that he had been canceled and they let him go. So Squidbillies have been canceled. There won't be any more episodes. Very upset about that because I love that show. Because it it really is the epitome of making fun of that sort of racist culture. But but at the same time, it's not racist because they're just a fucking pack of squids. So, like, who cares? I don't. I could do a college essay the importance of Squidbillies in American culture. That's how much I like
It's like
Squidbillies.
it was like how do I want to put it? A more vulgar version of Jeff Foxworthy. The way they made fun of rednecks.
Oh yeah, and Larry the Cable Guy. Like it's basically Yeah, it's a band of Foxworthy, Larry the Cable Guy, Bill Engvall, that whole shtick. But it's a very, it's a very more realistic sort of. This is what actually happens in the backwoods of Georgia. It's funny that it's based in Georgia. Florida is Florida is so. I
It's
mean, because and maybe you've had maybe you've seen it differently, but when we used to hang out, yeah, because you would have still been at home. But when me and Ahmad and Junior were hanging out, driving down to Florida a lot. There was I don't know if I've told you this story. One time, I never thought of Florida as racist. I've always had the impression that Florida was the progressive southern state, like it was the California of the deep south.
I used to think that too.
And so
Apparently, very wrong.
apparently I found it out the hard way. I was very very wrong. We were at a gas station. We were on our way to Pensacola, and we had stopped to get gas and to take a piss or whatever. And me and Junior was pumping gas, and we were out of the car talking. We were waiting on Ahmad to get back so we could leave. So we were finishing up, and Ahmad came out. He was about to get in the car, and as he did, there was a huge, the stereotypical redneck truck with the big tires and stupid loud muffler, that sort of shit.
And probably a fucking Confederate battle flag.
So they were. I don't think there was a flag. I can't remember, but
Well, it's probably somewhere on the truck. That's usually what it is here.
well, here's the funny thing. I'll get to that in a minute about here versus what happened there. So they're done, right? They've got their truck started and they're about to roll out for no reason because we didn't talk to anybody. We didn't come off as threatening to anybody. It's just me, Junior, and Ahmad about to get in the car and leave. And as Ahmad goes to sit down in the front seat, the guy sticks his head out, goes out of his way, stick his head out the window, and yell the N word at Ahmad. And so it's funny looking back on it now. It wasn't funny at the time because me and Junior said, "What the fuck did he just say?" And we jumped in the car and we were like, "Ahmad, come on." We was gonna chase this fucker down and beat his ass. And he took off like a little bitch. As soon as he did it, he took the fuck off. Because he knew if Ahmad actually processed it at that moment, Ahmad would rip him apart. Just because it was just a little redneck ass fucker. We was in public at a gas station. And so we got in the car and went and started chasing after him. And me and Junior are like, we're talking about it like, what the fuck is his problem? I'm gonna beat the shit out of this white dude. How dare him? And Ahmad is eating his honey bun. Like nothing happened. And we're like, Ahmad, are you not mad? And he's like, mad at what? What are y'all talking about? And didn't you hear what that guy said? Because he looked him right in the face when he said it to him. And he looked at us and he goes, about 5 minutes go by and we lost him, right? And we're driving, we're talking about something different. And Ahmad just turns and looks at Junior and goes, did that dude call me an N-word?
Oh my god.
And we're like, where have you been the past 10 minutes? Yes. And he's like, the fuck? And we're like, exactly. It like bounced off of him. It was nothing like, I've heard that so many times, whatever. He didn't think nothing of it. But that was my first taste of Florida is fucking backwards ass redneck as fuck.
It's just like
I'm not gonna say it's just like Alabama because growing up I never saw that sort of thing down here. And I hung hung out with a mod since I was like 11 or 12, and I never,
Younger than that.
we never had an no, not really, sixth grade, sixth or
Oh,
seventh grade.
I thought he was coming around even before that.
But
Damn.
but there was never an instance where I was hanging out with him and some white dude did something racist or whatever until Granny said that she said the N word. She said, "What are you doing riding around with that N word?" And I didn't really know what to say to her because I never thought of her as that, as racist. And then I'm like, "What are you talking about? You talking about a mod?" Because he's not whatever you just said. He's not what you just said. And apparently well, he looked like he's from the hood, driving around that 1989 Corsica or Beretta or whatever. I'm like, no, no, and you're not gonna say that again. If you ever say that to me again, I promise you, it won't go well. Do not call him. Don't say that around me. Period. I didn't know you felt that way about uh black folks because as far back as I can remember, she had Margaret. You
Yeah, I remember her.
okay? So you do okay.
Vaguely. Vaguely. I don't remember much, but
Well, you were still young, but like Margaret would come and she'd clean the house, and it's like if you were really racist, you really felt that way about black, you wouldn't let a black person come in the house, right? I've never known a racist to behave that way. Certainly, it never would have guessed that that was her. I don't know. I just never like it. It was a turning point in our relationship because I never, I, I don't know why she said it. What caused her? It was weird. Just oh, it was the same conversation when we had the whole atheist talk. Tried to give me the whole, you can't be a good person if you're not a Christian talk. And I'm like, I'm
uh,
not having this conversation with you. You are my grandmother, and I have loved you ever since I can remember. You cannot do this to me. This is too much.
I was I remember I think it was like 8th grade or something like that. 7th maybe. And we learned a little bit about evolution and I made one remark about it. And she's like, "That's not how that happened. That's we didn't come from that." And I was like, "Okay, not gonna talk to you about that ever again."
That was a mistake. Bring that up because I think in the same sort of vein, I think that's what we were talking about. It was like, oh, I learned this and we're talking about evolution, and wanted to give me this whole lecture. Oh, that's wrong. And I was like, you don't. I think I was like 15, and I'm like, I'm not the one to talk to about this. I have given up on religion a couple years before that, so I'm not really the one to have this discussion with. um, doesn't have to affect our relationship at all. I know that
I'm sur-
you're hyper Christian. But we don't have to talk about that kind of stuff. But I feel like if Granny were alive today, be a Trump supporter. That hurts my heart to think that her and Gordon be that way. Like to have that in my, I would think our family would have more sense. But then I think about, oh well, Dad probably be a Trump supporter too because Dad was an idiot and didn't really think things through and just sort of said shit. Like y'all, you have said it several times that I just kind of speak my mind and I don't really think about what I say. I just kind of say it. But that's not true. I'm constantly thinking about things. I know what I'm going to say. And yeah, I say some offensive shit times. I know it's offensive. But if you can make light of offensive shit, you can't let anything like you can't be offended.
I tell I tell most people, I'm like, look, you'll meet my brother. Um, he's abrasive. I said he's gonna tell you what he thinks. He ain't gonna hold back on you.
That's I don't like. Like that's the thing. Like okay, so I hear this a lot. People say, "I thought you didn't like me." I said, "Why do you think I don't like you?" Because when you come around or whatever, you don't really talk much. You just sort of, yeah, sort of say your piece and then done. And I'm like, look, if I didn't like you, I wouldn't speak to you at all. First of all, like I would have actively avoid you at all costs. And if I just absolutely had to be around you, it would not be a positive thing. There are people that I work with that I don't like, and when I get around them, I don't make eye contact with them. I don't. I just try to tell them what they need to know, and if they have anything to say, whether it be smart ass, sarcastic, whatever, I always have a sarcastic remark to throw right back at them, and they they know I don't like them. Like it is very obvious. So that's what I tell people. Like you would know if I didn't like you. You wouldn't like me, and that's fine with me. I don't want you to like me. I don't care. I don't give a fuck who likes me. Don't like me. You know, if I'm cussing, cutting up, and telling jokes around you that are offensive, chances are I do like you. But if you get offended by what I say, you just don't hang around me. I guess I don't know what. I love because you're definitely not the first person to say that. I love that.
I grew up with you.
I love. I love that I come with a disclaimer. Like everybody that I know, like Ahmad, Danielle, you. I love it when like, okay, you're gonna meet Alex. Okay, let me give you this disclaimer, and then you have to give a little warning. Like, I have to have a parental advisory sticker.
But see, like, I mean, it might be different for a mod, but like, I didn't grow up thinking that. Like, I didn't. I wasn't like 12 or 13 meeting people and going, okay, well, when you come over, you're gonna meet my brother, and this is what's gonna happen. That actually came along a little bit later because of all the comments I would get from other people going, wow, your brother's kind of a dick. And I go, is he? I mean, because I would feel that way, but I just thought that was, you know, sibling stuff. You're kind of dicks to each other when you're growing up. So like, I just, whatever. But like, some people would be like, yeah, your brother's an asshole. And I go,
Like who?
I'm
Who
not come
said
off that way.
David ever? David say that because David has no room to talk.
No, that didn't really come from him. But like, there's a certain ex I can think of that didn't like everything you said.
Yeah, but she didn't like anything anybody said, which is amazing. It's amazing to me that she ended up who she's with. Cause, and I do
No,
know
I'm
who
not talking
you're.
about her. I'm not talking about.
Oh,
Just talking
really?
about dry stand. No,
Oh,
the one that came before the one I'm with now.
oh, the blonde one.
Yeah, I don't want to use names, but you know who I'm talking about.
The one that got mad at me that one day because when she had like her spleen or whatever.
There's a multitude of things, man.
But she was hypercritical of everything everybody did. It wasn't just me. It was what everybody did. She didn't like, and it's, let me tell you,
But that's
it's
that's been my experience with Trump supporters.
not the first person to like. Danielle had a best friend who, well, claimed to be her best friend, who swore up and down She would never ever have anything else with Danielle. Got married, wouldn't come to the wedding. She would have nothing to do with her ever again because I was an atheist. That was her only. That was the only basis she had, that he's an atheist. She didn't even know that to start with when we started dating and talking about getting married. She didn't know that. It had just somehow came up. I don't know if I don't know how it got mentioned. Anyway, it came up, and she said, "I." She like looked down her nose at Danny, and like, can't believe you would be with somebody who. And I'm like, fuck you. First of all, who gives a shit? What? Why does that matter? Why does that matter? You know, the only place you're ever gonna miss me at is at church. But like everybody at fucking work, that's what kills me. Because you would think older people would be more critical of shit like that, but everybody at work knows. And there is one person at work I can uh, say that is still very critical about everything I do. But she's critical. She's just, there's something wrong with her. But everybody I work with knows that I am who I am. I'm an atheist. I'm abrasive. I say things that you don't want to hear because I've actively heard people say, "I don't want to hear you say fuck," or I would prefer you not be profane." And they only make that mistake once because I'm generally not a foul mouthed person if I don't know you. And I try to be respectful of people because I don't want to come off as just jerk off dickwad if before I get to know you, right? I want to give you a chance. And so I'm generally not, but they would overhear me talking to someone who I'm friends with, I'm comfortable with saying fuck, shit, ass, cunt with in front of. And this person doesn't like it when I curse. They know better than to point it out because when you point it out, you're going to do it 20 times worse. So, you know, I've had ladies at work that say, "Can you not say the F word?" And I'm like, "The F? You mean free or follow or which fucking word are you fucking talking about? Because I can't think of a fucking F word that would be fucking offensive." Oh, that is that the word fence? Maybe fences. And then I will just follow it up with a slew of curse words that don't start with F. Well, shit, piss ass. I have no fucking clue what you're talking about. And then they have to be educated. Like that's just you don't point it out. Won't do it. And if you don't like it, I'll take that into consideration because there's certain ways to do things. I truly believe there are certain ways to handle situations such as that. Instead of saying, you know, trying to tell me, please don't use words that you would normally use in your vernacular. Because fuck is just another word to me. You're basically telling me don't speak. Instead of saying that, you could say, I don't really like profane language. You know, maybe because you grew up around it and you don't like hearing it, whatever. But I would prefer to not use profane language. I don't like profanity. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I will do my best to not use it around you. I'm not going to make any promises because if I'm mad, god damn it. But I will actively try not to use profanity around those people. The people that say, hey, don't say the F word. Oh, no, you fucked up. Because now I'm going to say it every other fucking word. Because You're trying to tell me not to do something. Don't tell me not to do something. Even if you say, please don't, you're still basically telling me, you know, I can't do something, and I'll be damned if I'm going to be told I can't do. That's one thing if you're offended. It's another thing if you're calling me offensive. You know, don't say the F word. Fuck you. How about that? How about you shut the fuck up? Your voice is offensive to me. Fuck off. But I mean, I work with a bunch of older ladies who are Christian, right? They all know that I don't have the same beliefs as them, and they still say stuff like, if I come in there, I'm having a bad day. One of my kittens got ran over, because this happened, and come in there and I'll be like, yeah, that's my fucked up day, yada yada. They'll say stuff like, well, I'll be praying for you. I know you don't believe in it, but I'll be praying for you. And I always respond with, don't waste your time because it's not going to help me. But if it makes you feel better, you go right ahead. But to me, I mean, I feel like that's a better way to handle it, in my mind, than to tell somebody you're wrong for your beliefs. Because like when they say don't, when they say I'll pray for you, and I say don't waste your time on me, I'm not telling them you're wrong for what you believe in, and it won't do you a lick of fucking good, so you should go fuck off and die. Um, just like they're not trying to tell me that I'm wrong. They follow it up with, I know you don't believe this, but I do, and so I'm going to pray for you. Okay, I can respect that because you're not attacking me. You're not telling me I should or should not think a certain way. I'm in it, but it's amazing that the older people can do that. But then some of these younger folks run around telling people what they can and cannot do 15 years ago. They're canceling people for, like, Paula Dean. Like, she may have called somebody the N word one time, but first of all, the bitch grew up in the South in the 70s and 80s. Okay, you do have to take that into account. You have to, because that person isn't necessarily a racist, but they've been exposed to it so much at some point in their lives that was okay to do. And it's been okay for them to do that for so long that it's sort of a culture shock in a way. And we all talk about cultural appropriation. It's kind of the same thing when you're telling somebody that for 30 years their parents and their grandparents spoke that way. You don't necessarily feel that way, but maybe in a fit of rage or in anger it came out because that's what you heard for 30 years, right? I've gotten lucky enough where I've got friends who don't take it offensively because they know that I mean no offense. I mean, we're friends. It's like calling you a fucker. You don't want to be called a fucker, but that's not like a racial slur to you either. So you kind of let that slide, right? But if I use the N word, that's offensive and also racist. But I'm lucky enough to have a couple of friends who know that's not my intention, who also call me that because once again, I know the culture because I grew up around it and in it. So you can't cancel me is my point. Well, I guess you could. I mean, I really don't fucking care. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I've gotten so off track. We were talking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and you won't say anything.
I've been letting you go, and I don't know
Try.
what you want me to say.
Well, I'm trying not to have dead air.
Okay, well, like you, I don't know. You had a lot more interactions growing up. I just kind of stayed in the house a lot of
What
times.
does that mean?
Spe-
But what does that
Especially,
mean? Because when I look back at my youth and growing up, I feel like I stayed in the house. I didn't really go out and do a lot comparative to, let's say, a mod or hell, even Danielle. You know, like I feel like I haven't lived. I didn't, because I didn't do anything. So, I mean, when you say that, it's like, well, but you're 30 now. 30, however old, 32.
31,
You'll be 32.
almost two.
Be 32 this year. What really? We only have 4 years. Eight. What really have I done that you sort of have missed? The only thing I could think of that doesn't apply anymore. I'm proud of you. Is I had sex way before you did. That's the only thing I felt like we couldn't talk about because you hadn't experienced it yet, and you didn't experience it for so long. It was like, that's weird talking about it with Jeremy. We're talking about, but I mean, now you're 32. You've done all that shit. What else? I promise you, you haven't missed much. You haven't had
Oh
kids
no.
yet. You haven't had kids yet. I'll give you that. Let me go ahead and tell you right now, it's not all fucking unicorns and rainbows. Everybody makes it out to be.
I don't know. I just know I stayed in a lot more, and I didn't, cause like, uh, even you said it. Like you tend to be more of an introvert, and you don't like. How how'd you put it? Like, cause I don't know. I'm like you in the sense that like if you don't like me, if I don't like you, you're gonna know. I'll get smart with you, but I just won't talk to you. I already don't talk a lot, but I avoid talking to people I don't like. You know, but like I just avoid talking like most of the time.
Well, I don't do a lot of talking either. I don't feel like my opinion, in the grand scheme of it all, nobody gives a shit. My opinion anyway. That's how it's always been. You probably are like, what are you talking about? Especially where I work, saying to IT person working there cannot make IT decisions by himself. Like everyone else. It's not even the final decision on IT mine. That makes sense. Like it has to go through two or three other people who have no idea what they're talking about. They have to go, yes, I think this is a good idea. I think this is what we. It's like I told you we should buy Windows 10 machine, and somebody said no, we need to use DOS 5.0. They would go with that person over mine, and I've done this for 20 years, but they don't think they don't think my opinion matters, even though I'm the expert. They don't think I'm an expert, and that's probably partially due to how I behave. Probably has a lot my attitude to things because, like, okay, money doesn't matter to me, I don't care if I have $2, $2,000. I don't freak out about not having money. Like I'm okay if the bank says negative. I'll get paid and I'll have money in there. I'm not. I don't worry about money. I guess it's like I'm not worried about how much money I make either. It doesn't matter because we all die soon, some sooner, but be dead soon. What did it matter that you had 5 million? It didn't matter. It didn't matter shit that you had 5 million versus me having five. Doesn't fucking matter. We're just like this celebrity hierarchy that we live by. You know, and this is how I'm going to tie it back to Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Who gives a fuck who those people are? As you can plainly see, they all have the same personally. You take away the cameras, lights, and the money. They're both human beings, and Amber Heard is just like any other blonde bimbo. You know, she can manipulate you, get what she wants, money hungry. But point is, we're all human. We all function the exact same, whether or not you have $50 million or $5. You still have to breathe the same air I breathe. You have to take a piss. You have to take a shit. Sometimes in a bed. Don't all do that. I will.
Fucking things to bring up.
I will say that that is unique to only Amber Heard. You know, I take shits exclusively in a toilet. Never done it in a bed. I've pissed in a couple of beds because I was drunk. But I think my philosophy on life and how I do things bothers some people. Really shouldn't bother anyone. But because I don't care how much money I make, I also apply that to. It doesn't really matter how much where I work at makes, so long as feel the, the mission that we're supposed to feel, helping. That to me is the goal. We should look out for each because that's what we're supposed to fucking do. And if we get paid, we get paid. Like the money is a fucking that's just extra. That's the cherry on top. But we have to do the ice cream, whipped cream first. We have to meet the and can't make can't make an ice cream sundae with only cherries. It's just fucking cherries. That's what kills me about. We're gonna have a meeting tomorrow, right? All these people who think they're quote unquote executive, and they think age, wisdom better than everybody else, so they should get paid more than their opinions should matter more than everybody else's. We're all gonna sit in a room, and I'm in there too. I don't believe the way these people. We're all gonna sit in a room together and talk about, oh, well, how many services have we rendered? How many? What is? Give us the money. Tell us how much money we made last month. Um, how, and we're gonna waste 2 hours of. I'm not. I don't have a laptop. Other shit. And we're gonna waste 2 hours of our day. We could be helping people. Could be doing our jobs, helping people, but instead we're gonna sit around they're gonna lick each other's butthole or whatever. I don't. That's a mean way to put it. I don't mean it that way. I
Or
just
however you want to put it.
it's. I feel like these meetings could be. They could be really long. It's like I may read it, not read it. Um, I'll refer to it when I need to refer. But see, in the long run, at the end of the day, how much money I make doesn't directly affect what I'm gonna do because I'm still going to do what I was what I was hired to do, which is help everybody use their computer and to give them a computer to work with so that they can help others. I feel like that's my job. My job is to help the employees help people. If if I don't help them, they can't effectively help everybody. But I don't need to sit in a room and tell you that. You hired me. Know what I do. And last month I drove to Luverne. I ran some network. Why are we sitting in a room? Why do we need to sit in a room? All y'all hear me say that. It doesn't matter. I could have told you that in the hallway on my way to go do something. I went to Laverne last month. Here, it doesn't matter. It's just like this whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard shit. It doesn't. He got his finger chopped off because he decided to stay with an abusive bitch. Because maybe she gives good throat. I don't know why. Nobody, but Johnny probably doesn't know why he stuck around. I mean, I can sort of empathize with him. Um, well, I can't. His mom was abused. Um, and our mom wasn't. So I can't empathize with that. But I know what it's like to have a parent who stays in a relationship not for themselves, but for what they feel like is best for their children or what's best for the other person. That sort of selflessness. And so I could see where Johnny's coming from. He thought, growing up, his dad stayed, unhappy as he was, because he thought he had an obligation. His wife and his kids. Happiness was third. And see him sticking around even after he got his finger chopped off with a bottle. I mean, it's like me saying fuck even when people don't like it. It's 36 years old and my language has hurt anybody. I know. Nobody's died because I could talk all night. I've talked and kind of delirious sleep. But I'll lay down and I won't go to sleep for
Yeah, I know how that is. Like, and I'm not trying to like keep you. But I remember this. I've had so many comments about people who are like atheists can't have morals because they don't have God. It's usually because I'll tell people about you know, and they'll be like, "Well, how does he have any morals?" And I go, "You don't need a God to tell you not to be a shithead." Like I don't
Exactly.
understand, and like
That is such a false. That is such a phallical soapbox to stand on. To have somebody say can't have more. So my argument always, my argument. You mean to tell me that you need somebody to tell you it's wrong to kill somebody else? You you're telling me you're not smart enough to go, I don't want to die. He probably doesn't want to die either. Probably not a good thing to kill him. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Like, you literally have to have supernatural being tell you, hey, thou shalt not kill. That's really where you're going to pin your whole argument on. No, oh, he's a godless freak, so he must think it's okay to kill people. I I don't think, like, the war that's going on right now is going on because there's a person who thinks he's entitled to other people's lives, and that's dangerous. Nobody is entitled to, you're not entitled to my life. I'm not entitled to anybody else's life. Now, I will say that I'm pro choice, right? I do believe that as long as you have this cancer growing in your womb, you have the choice of whether or not to get rid of it. And up until a point where this cancerous ball of cells develops a brain and a heart, at which point it would be considered human. And I know people argue about when is that. It's when the heart beats on its own. I mean, it's a pretty easy question to answer because your brain doesn't function without blood pumping from your heart to your brain. So if you're relying on blood from your host, you're not a living thing yet. You're still a parasite, and you're still a cancerous ball of cells that is being kept alive by the woman's body. That woman should be able to choose whether or not to allow you to become a human being as we would see it. It's a completely different argument altogether. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, like, it's kind of funny to have a grown adult tell you they need Big Papa God tell you that it's not okay to steal from other people, not okay to kill. Really? Do you kids kids know this, understand this stuff, and they don't have to go to church to learn it. But you should also tell people that you know my kids go to church every now and then, you know, when they feel like it. But I've never said no, you can't do that because it's not my choice to make. It's not other people's choice to make them go to. They go to church if they want to, and they may want to go see their friends. They don't give a fuck about us and all that other bullshit. They just want to go see their buddy Jim from school. Fine, you know, but they have to make that decision. I want to go to church. Okay, fine. I'm not going, but sure you can find somebody to take you. So I'm not that bad of a person.
And you know, like one, like I said, when people say that to me, I'm like, look, let's be real here. Some of the worst people I know go to church every Sunday, expecting their God to just say that's okay. It's okay that you were a shithead to them because I said it's okay. And it's like that's not how that works. It's just not. And I don't know really what I'm trying to say with that, other than like how you said it. It's like you don't need morals,
No, I didn't
or you
say
don't need,
that you didn't
or you
need.
don't need. No, no, no. I misspoke that. You don't need something to tell you how to be. Is what I'm trying to say. You just, I think it's inherent to know that like this is just wrong.
I think it. You don't. I guess a better way to put it. I
It's
don't.
also 3 a.m. here, so
I don't need. Like if somebody comes to you with that argument, right? And they say, "Well, you can't have morals." because you don't have a God. And it's like, let me put it to you this way: I don't need you to tell me that it's wrong to kill you. I don't need you to tell me it would be wrong to steal from you. So why would I need somebody that is quote unquote a higher power than you to tell me the same thing? When I don't need you to tell me that. I know that. As a child, you learn these things just from hanging out with other kids, and if you have good parents, you learn it from your parents. You learn this is right versus this is wrong. You have to separate. You have to learn to separate pleasure from what's right and wrong, because that's like a really big sort of it's kind of hard because it would be nice to kill people. It would be I would there's a couple of
I
people.
wouldn't go that far.
Well, there's a couple of people where I could see I could get a dopamine rush and a little bit of pleasure ending their lives, right? But I don't need to be told by God that that's you shouldn't do that, that's wrong. I think it's because there is sort of a pleasure attached to it. Well, it feels good to steal.
Sure, you want to word it that way?
Well, I mean, okay, so it does. I'm not gonna implicate you, plead the fifth, but have you ever stolen something and then you looked at it and you're like, I shouldn't have done that, but damn, it felt good, right? But as an intelligent being, you have to go, yeah, it felt good, but it wasn't right, and I shouldn't do that. Even though it made me feel good, I shouldn't do that, right? Now, that's an argument that could be made about masturbation and Christianity. It's like that feels really good, but you should do it, and it's like, no, fuck you, I should do that because I'm not hurting anybody. When who the fuck am I gonna hurt? Shooting one off in the shower, like millions of lives I'm flushing. I mean, that's how absurd it gets when we start talking about, you know, when does life begin? I mean, hell, sperm swim. They sort of have an agenda. You know, that is that when life begins? Well, I've killed billions of people. If that's the case, billions. They have died watery deaths at my hand. Literally at my hand.
It's so awful.
It is, but it's late, so I forgot you're an hour ahead of us.
Yeah.
But we'll just call it a night.
Got really
For the
weird.
best. If we don't call it a night now, it will be an hour from now. Better just call it here.
Yeah, no, I'm